Welcome to the Totally Honest Kitchen. This is Mark. Today we are making cucumber yogurt soup. I was looking through an old copy of The Joy of Cooking and I came across this recipe and I said, what kind of Lovecraftian nightmare is this? So I Googled it and it turned out, hey, it's a thing. So today we're going to make it and we're going to see what this whole thing is about. We're starting with a bunch of dill. Most recipes call for, obviously, cucumber, Greek yogurt, olive oil, lemon, and dill. Now the dill ranges from 1 tablespoon to like 1/3 cup depending on the recipe. We're talking a little bit about adaptations today. When I have to adapt a recipe, usually I start by looking at a bunch of recipes and then I say, what do I want to do with this? What does this component do for the recipe? Is it a fat? Is it an acid? What is its purpose in this recipe? So we're going to start by pulling apart our dill. And we're just going to, unfortunately, there's not a lot of fast ways to do this. So we're just going to pick our dill off of the stems like so. You know, you can kind of get them quick if you go like that. And I'm not going to make you watch this whole thing. I'll be back when I have stripped down a bunch of dill. And I'm going to use a lot of dill because I like dill, it turns out. Okay, we're back and we have this lovely Catamaria dill laying here, which I'm just going to chop up. I think that once we have chopped it all up, this will be about 1/3 cup of dill. It is kind of a big ball. You're going to want to mince this pretty finely for the soup, but I'm thinking that since my plan is to throw it all in a blender, we probably don't need to be super duper fine about the whole thing. So I'm going to say that this is probably good enough and call it a day. If you see any big chunks of stem sticking out, you may wish to discard them at this point. After that, I'm going to get my mint from my prep table. And I'm going to stem and dice up the mint. I'm not going to show you that because we did it for the watermelon salad. Now, if you would prefer to watch the watermelon salad video, you could watch the short version, the Cooking Show of Lies version of the watermelon salad. It's about 6 minutes long. Okay, the herbs are mostly taken care of, so we're just going to go ahead and take our blender and add in our yogurt. I'm going to do it 1/2 cup at a time, and I'm going to put in about 2 cups. Once you've hurled your 2 cups in with reckless abandon, we can throw our herbs in just to get them off the cutting board. And here we are onto the cucumbers. Once again, I've gotten some big honking cucumbers. We're going to process about 1.5 of these, I think, and then the other one will be reserved for serving and garnish. So we're going to take it, we're going to seed it. Notice that we're going to seed both of them at the same time because it's just faster in the kitchen when you have a assembly line style thing. And notice that it comes pretty clean. Some of the recipes for this do call for water. I'm not sure why you would add water to this. If you're seeding the cucumber, then you're removing water. If you don't want water, just don't seed the cucumber. But whatever. Okay, now I'm gonna cut these up. A little bit of knife work later, and we've got a 1.5 cucumbers into our standing mixer bowl. This one, like I said, we're saving for the soup. Some versions of this have you peeling the cucumbers, others do not. Some versions use specific varieties of cucumbers. I just got what was readily available to me, and we're ribboning and dicing now. From here, there are all kinds of things you can do with this. Some recipes call for onion, like we're going to do. Some recipes call for shallot, which is kind of a weird onion. Fancy onion. Some recipe call for walnuts, toasted walnuts. If the store had toasted had walnuts when I went, we would have gone that route. And different herbs and spices. You'll notice I put in about 2 tablespoons of mint. I don't remember if I said how much mint I put in, and I hate it when people on cooking shows, ooh, I didn't mean to pour that right in there. So I'm gonna take that, put it over there, and that's just gonna be a happy little whoopsie doodle. If I decide that I should have had more reserved cucumber, it will be with the recipe in the description. Now we're going to mince up half of a red onion. After we mince up the red onion, we're going to rinse it off because raw onion has this tendency to take over a dish. If you rinse it, supposedly it gets rid of some of the sulfur that you release when you chop it and prevents it from doing that. I've seen this in a couple of different recipes, and that is the explanation I found. Again, I am not a scientist. I am a teacher by trade. I don't know how true that is, and I don't like to spread things if I'm not entirely sure what I'm talking about. But in this case, we're just going to take the internet's word for it and trust it, even though I tell people, do not trust the internet. The internet is lies. Anyway, we're just going to throw this in our colander, strainer, whatever you want to call this doohickey, and give it a quick rinse. I don't think we have to give it too long to release the water because we're throwing it in the blender, and like I said, some of these recipes do call for water anyway. So I'm just gonna chuck it in there. Now, I'm starting to wonder if the throw it all in a blender solution was the solution. But we're gonna do it anyway, because we've come this far, and why not? Right? What's the worst that can happen? From here, we're gonna add 2 cloves of crushed garlic. And again, I like garlic, so I'm putting in 2 cloves. I looked at a bunch of different recipes, and I kind of scrambled together the parts of them that made the most sense to me, and that's what we're winding up with. Cooking does not have to be exact. Baking has to be exact because baking is more of a science, but cooking is a lot less precise. You don't need to, you just mix stuff together. If a rat in a Pixar cartoon can do it, you can do it. Then we're going to throw in a full teaspoon of white pepper, and I'm going to kind of mix it around so that when the blender turns on, it finishes the mixing for me. We're using white pepper as opposed to black pepper so that we don't bespeckle the whole thing unnecessarily. And a teaspoon of kosher salt. Now we're going to go ahead and juice 1 lemon in our normal way. And we're just going to juice it right in there. This one's really juicy. Then we're going to need 2 tablespoons of olive oil. And in order to try to round out the edges on that lemon juice, we're going to add in some honey. A couple recipes I saw called for honey, and I'm just going to drizzle. I made like 6 circles around the top of the blender. I don't know if that's a measurement, but it is now. If it's not, we'll say 2 tablespoons. We'll stick our blender bowl on top of our blender stand, I guess. Lock down our top. turn it on and see what happens. I might cut the sound out here. I might cut this section. We'll see. It's alive! It's alive! Okay, now that nothing Frankenstonian or weird at all has happened, we're going to brush down our sides a little bit and let it go just a little longer. I don't have a time frame for this at all. My blender did it within about a minute. Okay, we're back and we've got a microwave safe container. Pour that in there. The internet told me that this gets chilled for 4 to 6 hours or overnight. It also said that when it's finished, it will look like it is mixed with heavy cream. And it already kind of looks that way. I'm going to go ahead and put this cucumber in there. And I can already tell you, probably should have used a half a cucumber in there instead of a bit of half of a cucumber. So now we're going to stick this in the fridge and we will look at it tomorrow. It's around lunchtime the next day and we are ready to serve. So the first thing you're going to want to do is to taste it and see if it needs anything. I tasted it, it's fine. I'm going to just ladle this out for myself. And it has taken a thicker consistency. And it's kind of this lovely color. Now I'm going to go ahead and garnish it a little bit. I'm going to do that was more than I intended. A little zizzle of the olive oil. And a little bit of the honey. And then a little bit of decorative leftover dill since we have so much of it. And there we are. Kind of pretty. I'd probably see if I could throw something else on there to maybe not be green. But I'm just going to say, this is going to be my lunch. Like, subscribe, click the little bell. Tell one of your friends. See you next time.